Cultivation has never been an easy path, but for Li Fan, it was 10,000 times more brutal. A sudden plague broke out, shaking the entire cultivation world. Mortals were infected. Immortals were doomed upon the slightest contact. The lucky ones lost their powers. The unlucky ones faced total annihilation. From then on, immortals and mortals were forever parted. Two worlds like parallel lines that never cross. Li Fan, a transmigrator with sky-high ambitions, once dreamed of reaching the peak of immortality, standing equal to the sun and moon. But when the plague spread, he was forced to live in the mortal realm forever, trapped in hopelessness, watching his grand dreams turn to ash. Until his dying breath, the mysterious treasure within him finally awakened, allowing Li Fan to reverse truth and falsehood, turning dreams into reality and altering his fate, returning to the very first moment when he first set foot in this world. This time, Li Fan will no longer be a mortal bound by destiny, but the one who holds the power to change the immortal world. At the Grand Zhuan Kingdom, capital city, the Grand Preceptor Mansion, a beautiful lady poured wine for the old Grand Preceptor. All the servants below bowed deeply, respectfully wishing him a long life. In these past 50 years, Li Fan went from a man with nothing to the rank of Grand Preceptor today, the most powerful man in the land. His journey was enough to write a long novel, with millions of words. Thinking back to when Li Fan first arrived here, he was just a poor scholar. What more could one ask for in such a life? The entire palace was filled with music. Dancers poured wine for the guests. Suddenly, someone rushed in from outside to report, "Heavenly fire is falling. Divine omens from the sky." A divine omen? It seems to be flying toward our mansion. The old man ran outside, shouting in disbelief. This is ... up in the sky. Two people appeared, hovering in midair. One of them spoke, "Dao Zhuanzi, do not push me too far." This scene terrified Li Fan. Cultivators, the crowd behind him knelt down. These are the divine immortal masters. The immortals have appeared. He still could not accept the reality. How is this possible? One of them shouted, "Guan Hong, did you think if you fled to this desolate land, that I would let you go? Hand over the technique you obtained that day. Otherwise, this will be a fight to the death." The other man naturally refused. Ridiculous, because I lacked the core formation method. I have been stuck in the foundation building stage for a century. Now that my time is running out, and I am about to turn to dust, I finally found the core formation technique. How could I possibly give it to someone else? Dao Zhuanzi replied, "Exactly, on the path to the golden core, it is either you or me." Though there are many core formation methods in this world, there are far more cultivators stuck at foundation building. So, in the face of this path to immortality, how could I let you walk away? Guan Hong laughed and exclaimed, "How absurd. We have been brothers for 100 years. Yet now we kill each other for a single chance at life. I know I am no match for you. It seems I cannot escape my fate today. But there are so many mortals here. I wonder if you can withstand ... the miasma of the mortal realm at this intensity." Dao Zhuanzi summoned his sword energy toward Guan Hong. He lunged toward his opponent. "What are you trying to do?" Guan Hong condensed a golden dragon to block the sword energy. "If you cannot survive the mortal miasma, perhaps I can find a way to live." Two massive powers collided with incredible violence. The sky exploded and the shockwave spread far. Li Fan stood below, mouth agape in shock. He lamented in his heart at the sight, "It is over." The great hall collapsed. Li Fan was pinned down by a stone block. He struggled to sit up, calling for his wife and children. But Li Fan's loved ones were already covered in wounds. He stood silently, watching the tragic scene before him. The bustling and prosperous capital city had become a living hell. Blood and fire filled his vision, nothing but broken bodies and ruined buildings. After this catastrophe, very few survivors would remain. All of this was because of two cultivators who suddenly descended. Li Fan could not accept this cruel injustice. He screamed in rage. Why are there cultivators in this world? From the moment Li Fan became an official, he had used all the power in his hands to search for any sign of the immortal path. After he became the imperial tutor, above all others, he searched the entire world even harder, from the frozen sea in the north to the southern ocean, from the void abyss in the east to the Lian Mountains in the west. In all of Grand Zhuan, there was not a single trace of an immortal. He trembled with anger. He had clearly given up. He was clearly old now. Were those two truly immortals? Where did they come from? Fate is playing a cruel joke. At that moment, a flow of energy appeared at Li Fan's fingertips. What is real is false. What is false is real? Energy replenishment complete. Do you wish to turn the current scene into an illusion and return to the starting point? The old man declared. Heizan. This was the name he gave to his mysterious treasure. Its function was to turn reality into falsehood, turning substance into void, taking everything I have truly experienced and making it a dreamlike memory, allowing me to return to the set point, which means the moment I first transmigrated here. In fact, this was already his second life, since Li Fan transmigrated to the Grand Zhuan Kingdom. In his first life, though he had great ambitions, he was just an ordinary man. He tried to pass the imperial exams but failed repeatedly. After age 30, he finally gave up on being an official. He started a small business and became a wealthy merchant. Then he married and had children, living out an ordinary life. When Li Fan was old, about to die of illness, the Heizan treasure awakened, allowing him to rise like a storm in his second life, because after the Heizan system replenished its energy, it could let Li Fan restart this life and return to the very beginning to start over. But he could not restart immediately, because Li Fan in this life still had something important to do. He ordered his servants to relay his command. Order the guard camp stationed outside the city to quickly enter the capital city to maintain order after the disaster. A large part of the capital had been destroyed. Once Li Fan's trusted soldiers from the guard camp took over the city, they could not only speed up the reconstruction efforts after the disaster, but more importantly, he could stay in the military camp to oversee the aftermath. At the same time, he secretly sent people to track the two cultivators. After several months, the ruined capital city finally regained a bit of life. The spy returned to report to the Grand Preceptor. Still, no news of those two cultivators. Li Fan thought in disappointment, I should not have expected anything anyway. If that is the case, there is nothing left to linger for in this life. Heizan, he activated the treasure once more. The system asked, do you wish to turn the current scene into an illusion and return to the starting point? In the stream of light covering the area, Li Fan agreed? Yes. Li Fan's body returned to his youthful form. Fragments of memory flashed around him, finally stopping at the image of those two cultivators. Li Fan swore, Dao Zhuanzi, Guan Hong, in 55 years, I will be waiting for you in this capital city. Heizan restarts a new life, returning to the first year as set. System granted. His body was pulled into the space-time portal. To Li Fan, wealth and status were just passing clouds. In the next life, I want to pursue the path of immortality. A series of information appeared from the system. You have returned to year 1. Overjoyed, you performed several strange actions. You were almost splashed by holy water, obtained from the village witch. 6 months later, you took the provincial exam. Though you ranked near the bottom in the 30s, you still successfully became a candidate, bringing honor to your family. In year 2, you passed the national exam with high marks, and performed brilliantly in the palace exam, ranking in the second tier of elite scholars. You built a vast network of connections in the capital, securing the position of magistrate in Wen County. In year 3, you began training your loyal followers. You successfully created gunpowder and firearms. In year 5, refugees gathered to rebel against Prince Langya. You led troops to rescue the prince and his family. Prince Langya was deeply grateful to you. In year 6, you were promoted to prefect of Jianghuai and married the daughter of the deputy minister of rights. In year 7, your wife gave birth to a son. In year 10, the princess of Langya gave birth. You personally went to offer congratulations and presented a specially prepared gift. In year 15, the emperor passed away. Prince Langya ascended the throne, naming the era Zhuanjing. Emperor Zhuanjing summoned you to the capital, promoting you to deputy minister of war and ordering you to lead troops to crush rebellions. You wiped out the rebel forces. Emperor Zhuanjing took back your military power, promoting you to minister of war and crowned prince preceptor. In year 20, the empress was framed in a witchcraft case. Enraged, the emperor sent her to the cold palace. The prince secretly sought your help, and you agreed. Through investigation and careful screening, you found the person who framed the empress, clearing her name entirely. Yet Emperor Zhuanjing refused to release her from the cold palace. In year 25, you received a secret tip. Someone reported that you were secretly visiting the empress in the cold palace. In that same year, Emperor Xuanjing was assassinated on his way back to the capital. The officials invited the empress out of the cold palace. The prince then took the throne, naming the era Kangning. In year 26, you are titled Grand Preceptor and Grand Secretary. Reaching the pinnacle of power, you use this to eliminate political rivals, building your own absolute power in court. By year 30, the people knew only the Grand Preceptor and ignored the emperor. In year 31, the Empress Dowager became pregnant and gave birth to your son. In year 38, Emperor Kangning died in sorrow. In year 40, the Empress Dowager passed away from illness. In year 45, your wife passed away. In year 46, your eldest son passed away from illness. In year 52, immortals from the eastern void abyss arrived, destroying the capital city. You luckily survived with your life. This simulation has ended. You can choose one of the following items to save for the future. 1. An item you possessed in this simulation. 2. Your cultivation level in this simulation. 3. The memories of someone closely related to you in this simulation. These memories can be inherited by that person. 4. Forfeit the above to increase energy replenishment. Li Fan wondered if reality turned to void, or if it was all just a simulation. Perhaps it was too real, creating an illusion. Or maybe after reaching a certain point, truth and falsehood no longer have a boundary. Forget it. Let us look at these 4 choices first. The first and second are not worth mentioning. If I had started on the path of cultivation, these 2 choices would be absolutely useful. Too bad I was just a mortal in the last life. As for the third choice, no one knows what that person would become after gaining decades of memories. Better to stay on the safe side. So only the 4th choice remains. Turning reality to void requires energy. When I suffer a fatal wound, Hezen will consume energy to automatically protect my body. That is the reason I survived several near-death experiences before, after almost dying. Therefore, the 4th option is the most stable choice. To speed up the energy replenishment. Your information has been updated. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal. Physical age, 2086. Mental age, 166. 10,561. Energy replenishment progress, 30%. You sighed. After 3 lives as a human, 166 years. So I have lived for that long. On the other hand, the mental age limit. I remember it was only around 900 before. Now it has increased to over 1,000. After enduring too many memories, the psychological endurance will reach its limit. A heavy burden will crush the soul. This is the torment of age. But the mental age limit will increase significantly as endurance grows, greatly increasing. Once I set foot on the path to immortality, none of this will be a problem. The goal of this life is to learn the secrets of cultivation from the mouths of these 2 cultivators. 55 years later, they will come to the capital with planning. I can win. I may not be without a chance of victory. Perhaps what I can rely on, besides firearms and gunpowder, is the mortal miasma he mentioned? I cannot just wait for 55 years. He comes from the eastern void abyss. I can send people deep into the abyss to explore. What one fears most is having no goal. In my previous life, many times at midnight, waking up in the Empress Dowager's bed, I felt empty and dazed. I had already reached the peak of mortality. I could go no higher. Another life would be the same. Power and pleasure lose their taste after repeating them so many times. Perhaps after some reincarnation, I would choose to end my own life. But the appearance of those 2 cultivators showed me a completely new possibility. I seemed to see a strange world, full of temptation, waving at me. Li Fan determined to cultivate. I want immortality, and no one can stop me. Zhuan De Ozi, Guan Hong, see you in 55 years. With the experience of 2 lives, everything went very smoothly. Li Fan still took the imperial examinations, but this time, with decades of experience in power, his writing far surpassed his previous life. Provincial, national, and palace exams he ranked first in all, a triple champion, shaking the entire world. Later, he still chose to be an official in Wenshu. In the court, though many were confused and felt it was a waste, they still approved Li Fan's request, because his reputation was so great, and he knew the tempers of all the local officials. In the county, he quickly took control of Wen County and began training his followers from his previous life. In year 4, Li Fan searched secretly and found someone who could be a body double for Prince Langya, while training him as a loyal follower. In year 5, he ordered his followers to pose as refugees to attack the Prince Langya's mansion. Li Fan pretended to come to their rescue, but in reality, it was an inside job. He killed the entire Langya family and replaced the prince with a body double. From then on, Li Fan secretly controlled the Langya mansion. The Grand Secretary's niece became the Princess of Langya. In year 9, the wedding of the prince and the Grand Secretary's niece took place as scheduled. That night, he broke into the bridal chamber and had relations with the princess. In year 10, the princess gave birth to a son, who was, of course, Li Fan's child. In year 15, the emperor fell seriously ill. After securing the decree of succession, Li Fan led his followers quickly into the capital. As the chief grand secretary, after Prince Langya ascended the throne, he placed his followers in key positions at court. With the secret cooperation of the chief grand secretary, he easily took control of the situation. In year 20, after placing his son on the throne, Li Fan appointed himself Grand Preceptor, stepping from the shadows into the light. Once again, he held absolute power over the world. The gears of progress in the Grand Zhuan Kingdom did not stop. Instead, they accelerated according to his will. In year 35, Li Fan analyzed the reports at the Grand Preceptor Mansion. So that means, the mist over the void abyss clears for half a day every 15 years. The spy confirmed, that is correct, Grand Preceptor. The Immortal-seeking division followed orders to camp nearby, observing the void abyss day and night. Finally, a few days ago, we made a discovery. After the heavy fog lifted, light was still radiating from the bottom of the abyss. Using telescopes to observe, we still discovered reflected images, though what everyone saw was different. We saw endless rolling mountains, with magnificent structures hidden within. Still clearly visible, there are majestic cities on the plains, bustling with over 1 million people. Radiant lights surround the cities in the sky, with all kinds of divine birds and strange beasts flying through. It is true. Li Fan confirmed, they indeed came from the void abyss. Did you find a way to descend into the abyss? He replied, your subordinates are useless. We tried everything, but once we reach a certain depth, sudden gales will tear everything apart. The winds are lethal. Even our strongest armor cannot withstand it for long. Li Fan sighed after hearing this. He looked up at the bright moon. It seems I must still wait for you too. In year 50, Grand Zhuan Kingdom, capital city, two powerful forces appeared, hovering in the sky. Guan Hong appeared with the familiar words, Dao Zhuanzi, do not push me too far. At that moment, hundreds of rounds were fired at them from below. Guan Hong struggled to block them. He thought, who dares to ambush me? Below, soldiers with custom firearms fired at the cultivators. Guan Hong suspiciously recognized them as bullets. Using his spiritual energy, he seized the gun from a soldier's hand. Guan Hong examined the weapon closely. Interesting. Using complex mechanical parts to replace magic arrays. Using explosive force to replace spiritual energy. To think that after thousands of years, mortals exiled to this desolate land could invent something so ingenious? Pity it only works in this land of flawed laws. Only here is it effective. Outside of this desolate land, it is nothing but a useless pile of scrap metal. A mere mortal dares to strike at us cultivators. I felt a bit of guilt before, but now it seems you are all seeking death. Guan Hong activated the fire dragon technique. A dragon immediately lunged toward them. It unleashed a wave of fire at the crowd. Violent flames rose high and fierce. But his eyes widened in shock at the sight before him. Guan Hong was stunned. How can this be? My fire dragon roar is not something mortals should be able to block. Looking at the surviving soldiers, he was shocked. Why are so many still alive? Dao Zhuanzi revealed, these weapons were soaked in mortal blood. Once you are hit by the mortal miasma, your techniques are weakened. We just arrived here, and were immediately ambushed, and the enemy even used mortal miasma. Clearly they came prepared. This place is bizarre. We should not stay long. Li Fan declared, Dao Zhuanzi, Guan Hong, if you to escape today, tomorrow the news that you have the core formation technique will spread through the whole world. The two of them looked at each other. How is that possible? Only the two of us know about the technique. How did the news leak? Who is it exactly? At that moment, fireballs were launched again from below. The hard-tempered Guan Hong unleashed flames, seeking death. Dao Zhuanzi shouted in panic, "It is a trap. Guan Hong, move." In front of them, those spheres exploded into clouds of red gas. The entire area was engulfed in fire. Along with deep crimson mist, the two cultivators fell to the ground, surrounded by soldiers. The general warned, "Immortal masters, our Grand Preceptor orders. If you surrender now, your lives may be spared." Dao Zhuanzi found it ridiculous. Surrender. A golden ring appeared before him. It was the one Guan Hong gave to him. "Take my storage ring and go." With those words, he drew his final breath. In the sky, the mighty dragon was roaring. Suddenly, its tail began to wither, turning into a dry branch. A notification appeared. Foundation cultivator Guan Hong practiced for 305 years, used the 9-dragon branch to establish his Dao base. In the desolate land, besieged by thousands of mortals, fatally wounded by the mortal miasma, lost all cultivation, lifespan exhausted, now dead, his Dao returned to the heavens. The soldiers pointed their weapons at him. "Immortal Master Dao Zhuanzi, our Grand Preceptor does not wish for your death, but I will live through you. If you cease your resistance, the Grand Preceptor guarantees your safety." Li Fin watched from a distance. When Guan Hong died just now, a strange sound seemed to echo from the heavens. But what that sound was no longer mattered, because in this life, hunting immortals is hopeless. To think that the damage of the mortal miasma against cultivators would be so devastating. Dao Zhuanzi stood up and said, "I do not know who you are, nor do I know your purpose. Now my brother and I are trapped and doomed by you." There is nothing left to say. His eyes flashed, but I refused to submit. Hiding behind mortals, using the lowly mortal miasma that all cultivators find shameless. My brother Guan Hong died at the hands of someone like you. I feel his death was not worth it. You have seen my brother's Dao-based treasure. Now, please witness mine. He chanted to establish his Dao base with heaven and earth. My Dao base is called Dao Zhuan. I have one sword strike. Behold. A giant sword descended upon the mortal world. Li Fin immediately shouted, "He's in." System notification. Simulation ended. He was terrified. Is this a cultivator at the peak of Foundation building? Without the mortal miasma? Even with 100 lives of planning? It would not be enough to even threaten them. To think this mortal miasma directly caused Guan Hong's death and Dao destruction? I thought their 100 years of brotherhood was just casual talk. Their bond was truly extraordinary. When attacked, Dao Zhuanzi would shout to warn Guan Hong. Guan Hong, knowing he could not escape death, gave the core formation technique to Dao Zhuanzi. Dao Zhuanzi, seeing Guan Hong die by an ambush, chose to give up his life for a final strike, using one sword to take everyone with him. All of this proves that there was a friendship between them beyond the ordinary. Indeed, on the path to the golden core, it is me or him. Though core formation methods are many, more are trapped in the foundation stage. The golden core path is exclusive. One cannot practice two paths. Even brothers are like this. In the cultivation world outside, what kind of scene must it be? No matter how dangerous the path ahead, I will not waver, especially with Hisen's support. As long as I am careful enough, no obstacle should be able to stop me. Last time I chose to attack them both at once. Perhaps this time I can try to win one of them over. This time the mental age limit only increased by a few decades. It seems I am nearing the limit, counting the life before transmigration. This is my 5th life already. The path to immortality is so difficult. Your information has been updated. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal. Physical age, 2086. Mental age, 216/1,080. Energy replenishment progress, 30%. Li Fan hoped these 55 years would not be wasted. Year 35, the endless void abyss. Based on the previous simulation's experience, Li Fan knew the thick fog over the abyss would clear once every 15 years. Today, he came to the abyss to see it for himself. After waiting for some time, massive amounts of white mist surged out, like a reverse waterfall, shooting straight into the sky. The gale lasted for over an hour. Before the heavy fog finally cleared, Li Fan used his telescope to look into the abyss. According to reports, the scene at the bottom was different for every person who looked. Li Fan observed through his binoculars. He clearly saw for words, "The immortal path is dead." Li Fan wondered, "The immortal path is dead. What exactly happened here, in the cultivation world? What could have occurred?" Year 50, capital city. The battle between the two cultivators repeated. Guan Hong shouted, "Dao Zhuanzi, do not push me too far." The soldiers below fired while announcing, "Guan Hong, you child, we follow the orders of immortal master Dao Zhuanzi. We have been waiting here for a long time." He was shocked as he blocked the bullets. "How can this be? Did Dao Zhuanzi know I would flee here?" Guan Hong asked suspiciously, "Mortal miasma, Dao Zhuanzi, you are truly despicable." Dao Zhuanzi thought angrily, "What is wrong with these mortals? Why use my name to launch an ambush? Guan Hong is even using mortal miasma." He tried to clear his name. "This place is strange, Guan Hong. These mortals are not acting on my orders." A voice echoes from below. "Master Dao Zhuanzi, why have you suddenly turned your back on us? Did you not say that if we helped you kill Guan Hong right here and seize his core formation technique, you would lead my kinsmen out of this god-forsaken land?" The hot-tempered Guan Hong believed it instantly. He said, "Besides the two of us, who else in this world knows about the core formation technique?" Zhuanzi is surprised. This person actually knows about the core formation technique. The voice below continues, "You should know that because of the immortal mortal miasma you mentioned, we have provoked public outrage. Now the people's resentment is boiling. If you cannot keep your promise to lead us out, I fear that before long, our tribe will be buried here." Zhuanzi has pinpointed the location of that voice. "Found you, despicable coward. Shut up." He strikes the ground with a surge of power. That voice speaks up. "Are you trying to kill us to silence the truth now, Master?" Zhuanzi enters a state of high alert. What kind of magical artifact is this? This person is so cautious. He continues to strike at the speaker. Guan Hong denounces Dao Zhuanzi. "We have known each other for 100 years. I never thought I would misjudge you so badly. Is it not the core formation technique you want? Why resort to such low-handed tactics? I will not run anymore. If you have the skill, come and take it." Dharma Art, Flame Dragon Fury. A fierce stream of fire ambushes Zhuanzi. He sighs helplessly at this display of temper. He launches his sword toward Guan Hong. The power of the two cultivators clashes. Li Fan gives the order. Dao Zhuanzi is a turncoat. He is fickle and holds grudges. If he wins, we will surely have no way to survive. Children of the Li clan, hear my command. Help Master Guan Hong deal with Dao Zhuanzi. Guan Hong is pleased upon hearing this. As they say, committing many injustices will surely bring retribution. Dao Zhuanzi, I did not expect you, who always acted so noble, to be betrayed for breaking your word. Zhuanzi is furious and calls him a fool. He continues to increase his power. Fine. You think you are so clever. Why are you being betrayed by everyone now? This is what they call being smart, but ruined by your own cleverness. I recently realized a new Dharma Art. Perfect timing to send you on your way. Dharma Art, Trap Dragon. A cage of fire descends upon where Zhuanzi is standing. He gathers his strength. Break for me. A giant sword shatters the cage along with Zhuanzi as he escapes. Standing high above, Zhuanzi shouts, "Dao Zhuan." A massive sword intent lunges at Guan Hong. He has a plan. Let me see if your Dao Zhuan is more powerful, or if my withered dragon branch is superior. Dharma Art, Dragon Transformation. The fire dragon opens its maw and strikes the sword. Zhuanzi releases a blast of power at his opponent. Master Guan Hong, let us give you a hand. The ground where he stood explodes. A glowing red smoke envelops the area. A tree branch pierces through Zhuanzi's chest. He gasps. It is over ... with her dragon branch. The branch spreads out in many directions, tearing through Zhuanzi's chest. Fresh blood spatters from his body. His body has become fertilizer for the branch. A notification appears. Foundation Establishment Cultivator Dao Zhuanzi, practiced for 201 years, used the artifact Rusty Sword Dao Zhuan to achieve foundation establishment in this forsaken land. Desperately fought with others, finally died at the hands of cultivator Guan Hong. Now his body perishes and his Dao fades, returning to heaven. Li Fan thinks to himself, that sound again. When Guan Hong died before, this sound also appeared. Guan Hong is stunned. Dao Zhuanzi. Li Fan approaches to express his gratitude. I am Li Fan. Greetings, Master. I beg for your mercy, to save the lives of over 1,000 people in my clan. He suddenly turns grim. The voice that echoed everywhere earlier. It was you, wasn't it? A mere mortal like you actually dared to interfere in a battle between us cultivators. The old man tries to remain calm and replies, it was merely a desperate search for a glimmer of hope. As I said before, if you had failed, Master, my kinsman would surely have faced certain death. Guan Hong sighs and says, a glimmer of hope, indeed. The world is harsh. Who isn't struggling painfully? For that single glimmer of hope, Li Fan speaks up. Before, Master Dao Zhuanzi promised me that if, he replies, for 100 years, Dao Zhuanzi always acted as a man of his word in front of others. I never thought his actual conduct would be so limitless, deceiving even a mortal. That absolute immortal array is incredibly treacherous. Even for us, wanting to leave, requires a great deal of effort. How could he possibly lead a mortal out? Li Fan is shocked. What? You also don't know how to leave this place? Guan Hong confirms indifferently. That is correct. Li Fan invites him elsewhere. This is not the place to talk. Master, please follow me. He leads him to an underground shelter. Li Fan continues the discussion regarding what you said earlier, that you cannot lead mortals out of this forsaken land. Is that really true? He confirms, you are just a mortal. Why would I lie to you? Perhaps a golden core stage cultivator could protect a mortal through the absolute immortal array. But for a foundation establishment cultivator, it is absolutely impossible. Li Fan does not believe it. Is there really no hope for us mortals to leave this world? He reveals, to leave this forsaken land, one must pass through the absolute immortal array. With a mortal body, there is simply no possibility of crossing it. Furthermore, you are already halfway into the grave. Why are you still obsessed with leaving this place? Wouldn't being an ordinary emperor be quite good? The old man reasons from that. If my descendants could cultivate to the foundation establishment stage like you, wouldn't it be possible to leave then? Guan Hong laughs upon hearing this, setting aside that there is no spiritual energy here, making cultivation impossible. There is the eternal gap between immortals and mortals. Every mortal here is covered in miasma. How can you practice the immortal way? I advise you to give up, you mortals. Wanting to cultivate must go to the outer world to rebuild your bodies and wash away the miasma on you. Otherwise, even if the great Tao to become an immortal emperor was before you, you could only look at it, but never touch it. The eternal gap between immortals and mortals ... So it seems. If there truly is nothing else, Li Fan prepares to leave. If you have no further instructions, Master, I shall take my leave. Guan Hong watches silently as the old man walks away. A glowing red gas envelops where he is sitting. He now realizes, the immortal mortal miasma, you. A distorted scream echoes from within. Li Fan exclaims, if immortals and mortals cannot coexist under the same sky, then how could a mortal like me dare to fully trust your words? The simulation continues according to Guan Hong's words. This place is the God-forsaken land. The cause of all this comes from a great upheaval in the ancient cultivation world thousands of years ago. Initially, no cultivators cared about the plague in the mortal realm. Not until the first cultivator was infected, the plague became even stronger and began spreading among cultivators. The primary transmission path was the spiritual energy. Depend on for survival, the disease, through the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, quickly spread across the entire cultivation world. In mild cases, would see their cultivation recede and their realm drop. In severe cases, they would lose all cultivation overnight. Then their bodies would perish and their Tao would return to heaven. When the cultivators grew desperate, they vented their anger on the source of the problem, the mortals. Thus, a massive slaughter began. But soon after, this killing was forcibly brought to a halt. The plague did not disappear. With the death of mortals, it seemed to lose its constraints instead. Riding the spiritual energy throughout the world, it expanded and spread. This, in turn, caused even more cultivators to die. But waiting for death was not the way of cultivators. On one hand, a group of them began researching a cure to fight against this plague. On the other hand, they proposed a grand relocation plan. Leaving 1,000-year infamy, they exiled all mortals in the cultivation realm to various small worlds. These were places without spiritual energy, like broken grotto heavens, sealed off completely by arrays, to ensure these mortals could never return. Originally, the cultivation world had no more mortals, but not every child born from the union of cultivators possessed the talent for cultivation. Therefore, in the long run, the world gave birth to many more mortals. In the bodies of these mortals, the shadow of this plague remained. And because this plague was particularly lethal to cultivators, descendants of mortals who wished to cultivate had to cleanse the plague from their bodies first. Over time, this plague became the defining barrier between immortals and mortals. Thus, it was named the immortal mortal miasma. At that time, Li Fan was holding a stack of confessions. The first page stated, to prevent the return of mortals, cultivators established a pact to avoid visiting the places where mortals had been exiled. As time went by, these places became known as God-forsaken lands. He thought to himself, I do not know how many God-forsaken lands exist. Very few cultivators are willing to risk entering them. Being able to meet 2 of them is already a stroke of extreme luck. As a mortal, my lifespan is limited. Even if I can endlessly simulate reincarnation, it is just a repetition within the bounds of my life. I am 70 years old this year. My biological age limit is 86. Within these 16 years, the chance of meeting another cultivator is basically 0. Can I really only repeat a mortal life, lifetime after lifetime? After waiting laboriously for nearly 30 years, how could I be satisfied? Is there truly no way? Suddenly, Li Fan discovers an anomaly. Wait. During the grand relocation, how did mortals reach these God-forsaken lands? Even if you leave, what can you do? 70 years old and still dreaming of cultivation, he asks bluntly, you have lost all your cultivation now. If you return to the cultivation world, can you still continue to cultivate? He is shocked. What? Li Fan proposes, if you can help me find a way to the cultivation world, perhaps I will take you with me then. Guan Hong is enraged, calling him a cunning scoundrel. You still want to trick me? The old man replies, whether it is truth or lies, it is a glimmer of hope nonetheless. Are you willing to abandon this chance at life and just die on this soil? Guan Hong confesses. If I guess correctly, the things used to relocate mortals back then were likely artifacts like flying boats. During ancient times, the population in the cultivation world was massive. Sects were flourishing and prosperous. These transport artifacts were very popular. Pity that after the Great Change, cultivators feared for their own safety. Traveling became a solitary venture, so flying boats and shuttles became rare. Does the Great Change refer to that eerie plague? Guan Hong explains, the miasma, though eerie, could not shake the very foundation of cultivators. The reason the miasma could prevail was because most cultivators in the world perished in a great calamity. Though there are many methods, far more cultivators are trapped at foundation establishment. Cruel immortal path. Li Fan deduces, the great calamity. Could it be that immortal arts cannot be practiced together? Guan Hong confirms, that is right. Immortal arts cannot be practiced by many. It is said that in ancient times, no such limit existed. Great sects opened their gates, teaching disciples their crafts. Practitioners had masters to guide them. They could seek advice when facing obstacles. They could even discuss with peers who practiced the same arts. The entire realm was a scene of grand vitality. Li Fan asks curiously, if arts cannot be shared, how do cultivators practice today? What is the state? Were practicing the same path at that time. They also realized, countless practitioners made no progress. They could no longer hide their killing intent. In the alliance, points are earned by completing tasks, or trading with others. The Council of Five Elders. It is an organization founded by 5 great powers. Their influence is vast. As long as you have the talent, you can join voluntarily and choose a technique. The price is a soul contract, swearing loyalty to the 5 elders for a set time. Li Fan continues, from your description, why does it feel like the techniques obtained through these ways are incomplete? Guan Hong replies, to cultivate nowadays, there are only a few choices. One is to join the Wanxian Alliance. Check condensation Great Perfection. Purple Mist Sutra Fragment for check condensation. 9 Cycle Great Sutra for Foundation Establishment. Golden Core Great Perfection. Great Yin Sutra Fragment for Golden Core. To advance further and build a foundation, you must exchange for a new level of technique. The same goes for levels above foundation establishment. Li Fan strokes his beard, changing techniques. If every time a realm is reached, one must switch arts and start over, wouldn't all previous efforts be completely in vain? He denies it. Not at all. Every practitioner must study the fragment of the Supreme Origin Genesis Sutra. This sutra is not exactly a cultivation art. It is more of a secret method. Its function is to allow practitioners to dissolve their own realm at will. After dispersing power and switching to other arts, one can quickly catch up to their previous state. He marvels to think such a wondrous method exists. But this fragment appeared quite conveniently. That is the only way to make all the practitioners in the world accept the constant changes in their cultivation methods. He sighed and exclaimed, but so what? True techniques are hard to find. Zhuangzi died without knowing. The reason I stole the technique and fled was not just because it was a core formation technique, but because it was a true technique that leads directly to the nascent soul realm. Li Fan pondered over this matter. Nascent soul true technique simulation continues. Next, Quan Hong introduced Li Fan to some common knowledge of the cultivation world, such as how after a cultivator dies, it triggers celestial phenomena within a certain range. Finally getting back to the main topic, he mentioned, I once heard a rumor that for thousands of years, mortals from the misery lands have been sneaking back to the cultivation world, but most of it is just folklore, mere rumors passed down through generations, without any real evidence. Li Fan said firmly, where there is smoke, there is fire. Sometimes rumors hold the ultimate truth. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, I will not give up. Quan Hong muttered, I really don't know how a dying old man like you still has so much energy left. He suggested, if you help me find a way to the cultivation world, I will not only free you and let you come with me, but your belongings and Zhuangzi's items. I will return them all, including that nascent soul technique. Quan Hong asked in shock, is that for real? He confirmed, of course. He regained his will to live. In that case, I will do my best to help you. Therefore, with Quan Hong's assistance, he searched through the world's historical records, hoping to find some accounts written in history, to find clues related to the previous migration. At the same time, Li Fan used the army to excavate ancient tombs, trying to find some meager clues within them. Though the people's resentment boiled over, and officials submitted pleas every day to advise he suppressed them all by force. The pity is that too much time had passed since the Great Migration era, and in this life, Li Fan's remaining lifespan was too short. After 16 years of searching, his end was approaching, yet there was still no progress. This body had grown so old, like a flickering candle in the wind, ready to vanish at any moment. Before this life came to an end, Li Fan had to verify the items in the ring, specifically this storage ring. The information displayed, Heavenly Jade Golden Scroll, Nascent Soul Realm Cultivation Current technique. Number of practitioners. He 0. thought with disappointment, Nascent Soul Realm, it is a shame I am still just a mortal. Without even a shred of divine sense, I have a mountain of treasure, but no luck to enjoy it. Mystic Sword Path, according to Quan Hong, after a cultivator dies, a foundation building item will vanish along with their death, losing its natural essence. Suddenly Li Fan received new good news. The system announced, item detected that can replenish energy. Broken Mystic Sword Path, proceed with energy replenishment. Li Fan made his choice immediately. He said yes. System updating anchor energy replenishment progress. 1%, current number of anchor points. 1. Li Fan analyzed based on the feedback from the true reality system. After the energy replenishment progress, for the anchor reaches 100%, a second point will be unlocked. Later, when choosing to return and turning everything to void, one can choose to start over, from any anchor point. If a second anchor point can truly be opened, then it will be much more convenient. Heaven and earth artifacts are hard to find, but the cultivation world is vast. There must be many artifacts. As long as I can leave this misery land and break free from the constraints, aside from some spirit stones in the ring, there is nothing else of value. It is time to end this life. True reality. New notification. This simulation has ended. You may choose any one item from the options below to carry over. Option 1. One item currently on your person from this simulation. Your current cultivation realm from this simulation. Option 3. Memories of a person close to you. During this simulation, these memories can be inherited by that person. Option 4. Forgo the above options. To accelerate energy replenishment, the current you chooses to carry over one item. Looking at the pile of treasures floating there, Li Fan cursed, damn it. The items in the storage ring indeed cannot be carried over all at once. Then there is no other way. I can only choose this nascent soul technique. New information appears. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal. Physical age, 2086. Mental age, 282 1109. Void conversion energy progress, 0%. Anchor energy progress, 1%. Current anchor points, 1. Locked item, Heavenly Jade Golden Scroll. He was surprised. Locked. That means this technique will permanently remain within the true reality system. This allows for much more planning. In the previous life, to find a way to the cultivation world, my plan for tomb raiding was actually too crude. Even with my power to manage the imperial court, it still provoked significant opposition. If the court had just been established and did this, it would have been impossible to continue. But if I start laying the groundwork now, 25 years might be enough to shift the mindset of the people in the world. After some time had passed, the sixth life of Li Fan began. Under his subtle influence, many small changes occurred in the world. In the fifth year, the archaic school emerged. This school brought many ancient books to the capital. Because of the exquisite nature of these books, they were rare and shocked the world. The books were titled I Ching, Tao Te Ching, and Non Hua. In the sixth year, the emperor suddenly fell ill. Bedridden, the royal physicians were all out of ideas. At this time, the archaic school brought a special pill to the emperor. The emperor listened and took the pill. Who would have thought the pill had miraculous effects? Before long, the emperor fully recovered. In the 11th year, the Jianghuai prefecture cracked a serious tomb raiding case, arresting over 100 raiders. The prefect of Jianghuai, Li Fan, did not dare and sent an urgent report to the capital, asking for the emperor's decision. Over a month passed before the decree arrived. No death sentence, only enslavement to serve in the capital. In the 15th year, the emperor fell seriously ill. Hoping for immortal pills to extend his life, he dispatched over 100,000 everywhere soldiers to excavate tombs for traces of immortal pills. Regrettably, immortal pills are hard to find. The emperor passed away in regret, but the trend of tomb raiding throughout the world became more prevalent. Before passed the throne to the Prince of Langya. Thus, I once again took control of the world secretly. In the 23rd year, as tombs were excavated one by one, the lost history was gradually being reconstructed. The earliest era that could be found was called Che. Li Fan offered a reward to the world. Anyone who could find a tomb from the Che dynasty would be made a noble. In the 25th year, the first emperor of the Che dynasty, Yi Hang's tomb was finally discovered. In just a few months, a path to the main chamber was excavated. After clearing all obstacles, Li Fan went inside with the support of his men. The ancient main tomb path stretched for several hundred meters. Both walls were decorated with vivid murals. Even after thousands of years, they were still clearly visible outside the chamber. The tomb space was 40 to 50 meters high, thousands of meters long and wide. The ceiling seemed to mimic the layout of the stars, embedded with over 1,000 night pearls, like a high mountain submerged in a sea of clouds. I wonder how this sea of clouds was formed. It remains fixed within the tomb without drifting away, and has not dissipated for thousands of years. There are invisible paths connecting the mountains, totally hidden from view. Everyone along the way marveled at the sight. Li Fan thought to himself, as expected of immortal techniques, on the highest mountain peak sat a simple thatched hut. The fields outside the house lay abandoned. Upon closer inspection, he noticed the straw on that thatched roof was made of countless thin gold threads, woven together. Li Fan ordered the soldiers, "You two, go open the door." He knew clearly. This thatched hut was Yi Hang's coffin. The soldiers pushed open the door to the hut. Li Fan stepped inside and was utterly stunned. Inside stood a memorial tablet, the tomb of Yi Hang, outer disciple of the Taiyan sect. He speculated that, even though this man joined a sect named Taiyan, he was still just an outer disciple, unable to truly enter the path of immortality. He was exiled here by the cultivators. Even before death, he did not forget his sect. He did not call himself emperor, but always saw himself as an outer disciple of Taiyan. However, According to Quan Hong, all the sects in the world should have vanished during the Great Catastrophe before the mass migration occurred. But looking at this now, there must be more to the story. Yiheng likely received instructions from the cultivators of the Taiyan sect to manage the mass migration in this realm. The only question is whether the flying ships used for the migration can still be found. Searching the main tomb yielded no results. Li Fan ordered the defense camp to excavate the surroundings. A few days later, news arrived. The scout reporting to the Grand Preceptor. The defense camp found records related to the flying ships in the list of burial items within a nearby satellite tomb. But that tomb was looted long ago. Based on the traces of damage, the theft happened over 1,000 years ago. Li Fan muttered in anger. It happened again. He shouted at the top of his lungs. Again. Li Fan's eyes flashed with a burning red glare. Every time I am shown a glimmer of hope, it turns out to be an unreachable illusion. After venting his rage, he panted heavily in frustration. Li Fan ordered a worldwide reward. Whoever finds clues about the immortal ships will be titled a Marquis of 1,000 Anchor year 35. When the intelligence returned, Li Fan was surprised to find an immortal's tomb. He replied, "Greetings, Great Master. A few days ago, while a group was excavating a small tomb, they were suddenly struck by unknown force. Casualties were heavy. The camp dared not delay any longer. They sent scouts in the middle of the night. Despite having many experienced hands, they could not budge this small tomb at all." He quickly gave the order, "Bring the mortal barrier to open the tomb." Buckets of bright red blood poured over the tomb. From there, the outer shield gradually faded away. Li Fan ordered them to be careful during excavation. "If you find anything like a flying vessel, report to me immediately." A moment later, a subordinate reported, "Great Master, among the burial items, there is a flying vessel." He rushed to the excavation site. Then he stopped and exclaimed, "This is it." Li Fan looked down at the tiny wooden boat and asked doubtfully, "A flying vessel?" He stood before the tomb. This small wooden boat is indeed the flying vessel that Li Fan had been longing for. Through the information carved on the walls, before the owner died, he understood the whole story. It turned out the owner, Jian Hong, was a Foundation establishment cultivator. Over 3,000 years ago, hunted by enemies, he fled to this immortal forbidden land. This land had no spiritual energy, and he had very few spirit stones. Before long, the spirit stones were exhausted. Without stones to replenish energy, his cultivation level began to regress. He guessed that 1,000 years ago, when mortals were pushed here, they might have left a flying vessel or two. So he searched for decades. Finally finding Yiheng's tomb, there was indeed a flying vessel inside. But what made him despair was that the core array, the power source of the vessel, was damaged. He was not skilled in artifact refining and could not fix it. Thus, Jian Hong finally gave up on the idea of leaving this immortal forbidden land. The tombstone was inscribed with, "If a future cultivator enters my tomb, please return my remains to the cultivation world. The items left in the tomb are your reward." Jian Hong's final words, Li Fan thought, with an array protecting the tomb. It's no surprise that only a cultivator could enter. Let's see what he left behind first. Suddenly, the system alerted him. Heaven and Earth rare item, broken steely of direction. He was surprised. A Heaven and Earth rare item. The thing protecting this tomb was this item. Unfortunately, there was no reaction from the truth seeker because of the forced entry. Using a large amount of a mortal barrier, this broken steely of direction was likely affected by the barrier and turned into an ordinary stone. Let's check the second item. The item information showed minor truth seeker technique check condensation. Current practitioners 1. Cloud water technique foundation establishment. Current practitioners 1. Li Fan was shocked. Someone is already practicing these. Is it a trap? No, that is not right. Over 3,000 years have passed. Forget foundation establishment. Even a golden core cultivator would have turned to dust by now. But why are these techniques currently being practiced? Could there be original copies stored elsewhere? After the Great Cataclysm, many techniques were compiled by great powers, like the 10,000 Immortals Alliance. Then original archives must exist. The management of those great powers saw no one was practicing these, so they made them available for exchange. In fact, over these 3,000 years, who knows how many owners these techniques have had? Li Fan muttered in frustration. What bad luck. The third item, the Great Divination Bead. After thousands of years, The Great Divination Bead has fallen into my hands. Great Divination Bead, the tool used by the Great Divination sect to move mortals. The internal array is damaged. After waiting for centuries, I have finally achieved my wish. Though the Great Divination Bead is damaged, there is no need to worrying. Xian Hong didn't know how to fix it, and I, Li Fan, don't know how to fix it either. But someone does. In the 55th year of Anchor, Guan Hong shouted loudly, Zhuanzi, do not push me too far. Zhuanzi replied, Guan Hong, did you think if you fled to this immortal forbidden land, I would let you go? Hand over the technique you obtained that day. Otherwise, you and I, a voice rang out. It is just a core formation technique. Is it worth a fight to the death between you two? They replied. Who is there? Such arrogant words. Li Fan invited them. Why don't you to come down and talk? When they followed him back to the Great Hall, Li Fan raised a wine cup to toast them and said, back then, my ancestor said before he died that to people from the east of the abyss might come to the capital city. It is the chance for my clan to escape this land. For thousands of years, my people have always been skeptical. Today, it has been proven true. Guan Hong asked curiously, may I ask how to address you? He calmly replied, this old man is Li Fan. Zhuanzi continued, from your words, it seems, thousands of years ago, predicted the two of us would come here. What do you mean by the chance to escape this land? He released a heavy pressure and asked, you don't believe it? Guan Hong replied, this is too fantastical. We have traveled the cultivation world for 100 years, and never heard of a divination art that could predict events 1,000 years later. Li Fan stepped forward and said, have you two ever heard of the Great Divination sect? His jaw dropped as he guessed. Could it be the ancient sect, famous throughout the world for divination? They finally fell for it. He relaxed and let out a sigh. Li Fan introduced, my ancestor was a member of the Great Divination sect. Although he entered the sect, he did not enjoy cultivation, but was obsessed with divination and fortune-telling. Normally, that would be fine. But then the great cataclysm occurred. All mortals had to be relocated. With his early check condensation level, no one would have forced him if he was unwilling to go, but seeing his family in terror, he asked to be in charge of moving the mortals, and then stayed here with his clan. Zhuanzi understood. So that is how it was. I wonder why you stopped us. He replied, no cultivators have come here for hundreds of years. Seeing you today, I knew you were the ones my ancestor predicted before his death. The chance to help my clan escape this hardship. But now you two want to fight to the death over a core formation technique. I had to speak up to stop you. He breathed a sigh of relief. I have let you see a sorry sight. But perhaps you do not know, techniques in the outside world are hard to come by. Killing each other over a manual is quite common. Based on your tone, it seems. Li Fan revealed. Before he died, my ancestor passed down a technique that leads directly to the Golden Core realm. Both asked eagerly, that is wonderful. If we can obtain this technique, then we brothers will have no need to fight. What is it that you require of us? He replied, my ancestor's lifelong wish was to return to the Great Divination sect. Besides this technique, he also left behind a Dharma treasure called the Great Divination Bead. Though it is damaged, my ancestor used divination to calculate that many years later, two cultivators would come here, one skilled in sword play, one who loves artifact refining. They could help his descendants repair the bead and escape this desolate land. Zhuanzi confirmed happily. Perfect. My brother Guan Hong, obsessed with artifact refining, and my specialty is indeed sword play. This great divination art is truly ingenious, Guan Hong added. To have such profound divine power at the check condensation stage is truly hard to imagine. Li Fan led them away, saying, words alone are not proof. Please follow me to see this technique. Zhuanzi followed and asked him, what? Elder brother already has a page of the core formation technique. Is he still not satisfied? Guan Hong stopped. Fine, I will not go over there. At this time, only Zhuanzi followed him. He stopped when he saw what was in front of him. Zhuanzi backed away in fear. The immortal mortal barrier. One must always be on guard, as mortals protecting our family's ultimate treasure. This is all we can do. Fellow Taoist, please look. This is the technique left by my ancestor. He took out the heavenly jade Heavenly Jade Golden Chapter, Nascent Soul Stage Technique. Current practitioners. 0. His whole body trembled. A nascent soul technique. It is actually a nascent soul technique. Li Fan was secretly pleased. Everything was going as planned. He spoke up. Well, was what this old man said true? Earlier, in front of your elder brother Guan Hong, I only said it was a core formation technique from my ancestor. That was because I feared he might harbor evil intentions. Zhuanzi cupped his hands and said, Your planning is meticulous. I am impressed. Do not worry. My brother Guan Hong is an expert in artifact refining. I will certainly convince him to do his best to repair the great divination bead for you. Li Fan smiled and replied, Then I shall trouble you. Once the task is finished, I will present this technique to you with both hands. Guan Hong sent a voice transmission saying, What this Li Fan says is not false. There truly is an ancestral core formation technique. Zhuanzi confirmed, Yes, I saw it with my own eyes. Murderous intent rose in him. He is just a mortal. We can just kill him and take the technique. Guan Hong messaged to discuss with him. Can we steal it? He is merely immortal. Even though Li Fan is just a mortal, he is a descendant of the Great Divination sect. Their prophetic skills are terrifying. You saw it yourself earlier. It is truly frightening. If we rob him, who knows what other tricks he might have? Zhuanzi replied. That is not a difficult task. Why invite more uncertainty? He thought, if we use force, and Li Fan is pushed to reveal the technique is actually a nascent soul technique, then we are in trouble. The next day, Li Fan handed the great divination bead to them for repair. Guan Hong looked at the small boat in his hand with awe. Truly an item from the Great Divination sect. Exquisite refining methods and mysterious arrays. All far beyond anything I have learned. If I can repair this, my path of artifact refining will surely progress. Li Fan spoke. Then I shall leave it to you too. If you have any requests, just say so. I will surely fulfill them. Cultivation knows no time. A wooden boat that looked so small. Yet Guan Hong and his brother spent nearly a year to complete the repairs. Today, hearing that the great divination bead was ready, Li Fan hurried to find Guan Hong and the other. He reported, the core power array of the great divination bead, the shrinking and enlarging transformation array, and the cleansing array are fully repaired. Only the defensive and offensive arrays were limited by materials and could only be fixed simply. Passing through the immortal forbiddance barrier is no problem, but facing attacks from other cultivators might be a bit much to ask. Li Fan replied, It is fine, as long as we can leave the immortal forbiddance barrier and reach the cultivation world. With my ancestors' tokens, I will find a way back to the Great Divination sect. Guan Hong revealed, This Great Divination bead uses spiritual energy as power and requires spiritual sense to operate. It has 3 levels of size transformation. The first form is only 10 meters long, and 2 to 3 meters wide, a bit larger, and it is 100 meters long. At its maximum enlargement, it is over 1,000 meters. The spirit stones we to have left are not many, but what I used for materials is enough for you to use the second form. To leave this place, however, controlling this vessel requires a spiritual sense of at least the check condensation stage. I do not know if you need us to do it for you. As soon as he finished, Li Fan was already controlling the boat. His mouth hung open in shock. Fellow Taoist, your methods are truly extraordinary. Even as a mortal, you can manipulate the great divination bead. He said modestly, It is just a humble trick, not worth mentioning. I must thank you both. Having been trapped for a millennium, there is now hope for escape. It is all thanks to your hard work. Zhuanzi brought up the matter. Now that the great divination bead is fixed, what about ... Li Fan replied, It is already prepared. Just follow me to collect it. 3 days later, Guan Hong and Zhuanzi took the technique and bid farewell. Li Fan and Zhuanzi spoke. Fellow Taoist, our remaining spirit stones are not many. Staying in this immortal forbiddance land any longer carries the risk of our cultivation falling. Therefore, we come today to say goodbye. Guan Hong thumped his chest and promised, If you make it out, you can come to Lingtia City in the Kongyan Mountains to find me. Here is a map of the area near the exit of the barrier, drawn from memory as you requested. There are no blank jade slips here, so I could only use pen and paper. Li Fan took it. Thank you, fellow Taoist. After chatting for a while longer, Guan Hong and Zhuanzi finally turned into 2 streaks of light and departed. Guan Hong discussed it with him on the way back. That Li Fan's mind is extraordinary. He is quite a character, but a pity, his end is near. Even if he can return to the cultivation world, he does not have many years left to live. Zhuangzi replied, without immortality, everything is an illusion. Didn't the two of us almost kill each other, just for a hope of immortality? He asked curiously. In the end, what technique did Li Fan give you? He guaranteed. It couldn't be the same technique as the one I have. Right. Don't worry. After I return and break through to the golden core stage, I promise to do 3 things for you. You will certainly get your share. Zhuangzi was diving down into a deep abyss. This protective mist has not yet dissipated. I wonder if my elder brother dares to enter. Guanhong dove down and said confidently, what is there to fear? At the eastern abyss, the great divination bead vessel arrived. Inside the control room, Li Fan operated the ship alone and said, waiting for the white mist to clear again would take another 14 years. I am already 71 now. By then I would be 85, and my time would be up. Never mind controlling the great divination bead. I have nothing left to miss in this life. Today, I will test the truth of this immortal forbidden barrier. The ship dove straight down. Under the abyss, mist enveloped everything. Everything around was a blur of white, giving Li Fan a feeling of unreality. Suddenly, it felt like hitting something. The whole of the great divination bead began to shake violently. He thought to himself, is this the astral wind layer? According to Guanhong, the winds here can easily tear a mortal body apart. Even foundation establishment cultivators must use spiritual power for protection. Fortunately, there is a protective array, otherwise the consequences would be dire. After half an hour, Li Fan carefully controlled the vessel. Spending over an hour, he finally crossed the astral wind layer. Finally, the tremors subsided, and infinite light appeared before his eyes. Finally, he successfully escaped the immortal forbidden barrier. After arriving in the cultivation world, by a stroke of luck, he obtained a rare technique. In just 100 short years, he achieved golden core. From then on, the path of cultivation was full of hardships. After 1,000 years of achieving the Tao, he ascended to the immortal realm. Li Fan began practicing again from the lowest level of immortality. Eventually, he became the immortal emperor, looking down upon the realm. Then he shattered the spatial walls of the immortal realm and ascended to the god realm. Starting from a mere miner in the god realm, after 10,000 years, Li Fan reached the god king stage, becoming the strongest existence in the god realm. Then, after countless hardships, he ascended to the ancient god realm, becoming a low-level disciple in the ancient god realm. He laboriously started over from the beginning once more. Suddenly, Li Fan's entire body flipped upside down. He snapped his eyes open. Everything just now was an illusion from the phantom light layer. Why is the ship upside down? Based on Guanhong's map, I have now left the phantom light layer and reached the 3rd layer of the barrier, the inversion layer. It seems the great divination bead automatically steered out of the phantom light layer, which is why I regained consciousness. I lost consciousness in the phantom light layer just now. The great divination bead actually steered itself into the inversion layer. Perhaps I can let the vessel handle the steering, while I only provide the power to accelerate. An intuition transmitted from the vessel, telling Li Fan which direction to take. Following the vessel's guidance, he accelerated forward. At the 4th layer of the barrier, the flowing fire layer. Indeed, by relying on the vessel's automatic steering, Li Fan successfully reached the 4th layer. He exclaimed in delight, that is it. 1,000 years ago, this vessel was dedicated to relocating mortals. The cultivators in charge must have left a hidden backdoor in the great divination bead, enabling it to automatically traverse the barrier. Having tasted success, Li Fan stopped trying to steer altogether. He only provided power, letting the vessel fly through the barrier on its own. The 5th layer, flowing fire ice layer, mystic ice thunderstorm. These places looked extremely perilous, but the vessel always managed to skim past every destructive threat. The 6th layer, thunderstorm. The 7th layer, darkness. The journey was startling, but not dangerous. I successfully reached the final layer, the darkness layer. Li Fan remembered that according to Guanhong, there was no danger in this layer, only a blanket of total darkness. Passing through here, the cultivation world lay ahead. After the cycle of reincarnation, the boat finally passed through the giant maw of a monster. Li Fan activated the Truth Seeker. The system announced the end of this simulation. Li Fan panted heavily in exhaustion. When Guanhong and Zhuangzi crossed the barrier, they didn't encounter that thing in the darkness layer. Why did I? Could it be a measure aimed only at mortals? It seems I must wait for the great mist to clear. It is safest to explore when the abyss is lit. That is the most reliable way. Though it ended in vain, the gains of this life exceeded expectations. A new notification appeared. Name, Lee Fan. Realm, mortal. Physical age, 2086. Mental age, 333. 1113 increase. Recharged progress transformation, 0%. Recharged progress anchor, 1%. Current anchor points, 1. Locked items, Heavenly Jade Golden Chapter. Great Divination Bead. After choosing to retain the Great Divination Bead, Lee Fan immediately began his 7th life. Anchor Year 4. Lee Fan led his confidants secretly to Xian Hong's tomb. This time, he used a sprayer with a mortal barrier to erode it slowly, until the power of the broken stele diminished, to the point where it could no longer strike back. The system gave Lee Fan a choice. Item detected. Can recharge using the damaged broken stele? Proceed with recharge. When Lee Fan selected yes, the system updated. Anchor recharge progress, 26%. Current anchor points, 1. He thought regretfully, a pity there was some energy loss, but the recharge progress for the anchor increased by 25%, only 3 more times, and I can unlock the second anchor point. Everything else no longer had value for Lee Fan. After ordering the tomb to be resealed, he left the burial site. Anchor Year 5. Lee Fan still couldn't resist going to the eastern abyss. This time, he only intended to look without going down. The thick mist at the bottom of the abyss had lessened. Lee Fan thought, if I steer the Great Divination Bead now, could I smoothly reach the cultivation world directly? Yes, I have waited so long already. Must I really wait another 15 years? So, what if the Truth Seeker hasn't finished recharging? If I am so fearful, how can I achieve the Great Tao? I explored it once in my previous life. As long as I carefully avoid the monster of unknown origin in the darkness layer, I can leave this hell hole. As long as I carefully avoid the unknown monster in that darkness layer, I can leave this hell hole. Suddenly, a burst of bright energy erupted from the bottom. On the cliff wall, words appeared. What is the immortal way? Lee Fan wondered what was happening. Just now, countless voices in my head were tempting me to enter the abyss. If the light from the bottom hadn't pierced through the barrier, I fear I would have been crushed to pieces. 15 years later, Anchor Year 20. Finally, the Truth Seeker finished recharging. With something to rely on, Lee Fan returned to the abyss. He steered the vessel on a perilous path to the thunderstorm layer. Lee Fan stopped above the darkness layer. The winds gradually picked up. The raging thunderstorm, influenced by this place, began to weaken. Glimmering lights arose from the darkness. He used this precious light to search for the monster lurking in the shadows. Regrettably, there were no results. Seeing the light about to fade, he hesitated no longer. He pushed the vessel to full speed, rushing toward the bottom of the abyss. The boat once again found itself in the mouth of the giant monster. Lee Fan was certain now. It seems my guess was correct. This monster harbors extreme malice toward mortals. Perhaps its mission is to swallow every mortal who draws near. The ship shot past its mouth. He was struggling to go up, higher and higher. The boat gradually approached the heart of the thunderstorm. Lee Fan was calculating. It would not follow past the thunderstorm layer. It stopped at the edge of the darkness layer, perfectly timed to use the thunderstorm's light to see what it actually looked like. When he finally saw its true appearance, Lee Fan was terrified as the fish lunged. What on earth? This whale is so massive, and the vessel so small. Yet it finds me every single time I pass. I can only try another way. Luckily, I have enough chances to try. The boat continued to weave and dash away. In the following 15 years, Lee Fan tried countless times to break through the darkness. Just like before, he was detected the moment he entered the lair. The time the giant whale took to find him decreased significantly, so Lee Fan could only retreat in a mess. After battling the giant whale, Anchor Year 35, Thunderstorm Lair. Only on the day the white mist clears. Only after some time would it detect Lee Fan. With this small window of time, perhaps he could fly to the bottom of the abyss. This time Lee Fan decided to take a gamble. using maximum speed to charge straight through. Before the giant whale could react, crossing the darkness layer once more, an ethereal light appeared below. Seeing it draw closer and closer, a roar that inspired terror from the whale echoed once again. Li Fan panicked. It is too late, Truth Seeker. The system announced the end of this simulation. He replied, forfeit selection. Accelerate recharge progress. The system notification surprised Li Fan. The mental age limit did not increase. Name, Li Fan. Realm, mortal. Physical age, 2086. Mental age, 368. 1116. Recharge progress transformation, 0%. Recharge progress anchor, 26%. Current anchor points, 1. Lock items, Heavenly Jade Golden Chapter. Gray Divination Bead. He understood. It seems I have reached the limit. That is why it is no longer increasing. Luckily, I still have 748 years to use as I please. The 8th life. Anchor Year 4. Li Fan opened Xian Hong's tomb once again. He was secretly glad his efforts this life were not in vain. The system updated the recharge progress. Anchor recharge, 51% increased. Current anchor points, 1. Anchor Year 5. The white mist cleared. The recharge progress for transformation reached nearly 90%. But as long as it was not 100%, it made no major difference to Li Fan. He could only wait patiently. Anchor Year 20. He tried and failed. Anchor Year 35. He tried again and still failed. But these attempts were not completely useless. At least Li Fan's control over the vessel became more and more proficient. Anchor Year 50. He had no choice but to force his way through the darkness layer again. Li Fan had grown old. His reflexes and spirit had sharply declined. There was no possibility of success. So he chose to meet his two old friends to see if he could find any clues from them. When the two were about to fight, Zhuangzi, do not push me too far. Hearing this line now, he suddenly felt a bit of nostalgia. He used the golden core technique as bait to lure the two to the Grand Preceptor's mansion. After eating and drinking, he took out a painting of the giant whale. Li Fan showed them the drawing. Have either of you ever encountered this monster? My ancestor said before he passed away that in the future, if there is a chance to escape this desolate land, other things are of no concern. With the protection of our sex vessel, one can pass safely. Only in this final layer, is there a giant whale lying in wait? One must be cautious. Guan Hong was surprised. That vast, dark land has such a ferocious beast. Why did I not see it? Zhuangzi suddenly spoke up. Could it be ... He looked expectant. It seems you recognize this beast, fellow Taoist. He replied, I have only seen related records. In an ancient book, I heard that in ancient times, there was a beast-taming sect. They had no profound techniques, relying solely on their beast-taming art to manipulate strange beasts of heaven and earth to fight for them. Among the famous beasts, controlled by the beast-taming sect, this type of giant whale seems to be one of them. Guan Hong added, now that you mention it, I remember. I believe it is called the world-severing whale. Li Fan hurriedly asked, do you know how to avoid this world-severing whale? Both of them replied at the same time. We have only heard rumors. Such a beast disappeared from the cultivation world thousands of years ago. How could we know its habits? Li Fan was frustrated. In the end, must I still rely on myself? He handed the technique to Zhuangzi. After sending them away, Li Fan chose to end this life, the 9th life. He opened Xian Hong's tomb once more, intending to absorb the broken stele to recharge. Unfortunately, the Truth Seeker did not react. Anchor Year 20. Anchor Year 35. Anchor Year 50. He tried repeatedly, but never crossed the darkness layer. Anchor Year 65. The ship slipped quietly with the current into a natural limestone cave. He was too old. He could no longer match wits or strength with the giant whale. He did not force it. He completely gave up on controlling the vessel, letting it drift slowly into the abyss from the start. The boat quickly passed through each layer. Astral wind, phantom light, inversion, flowing fire, mystic ice, thunderstorm, and darkness. Li Fan was surprised to find something unusual. He wondered what was going on. Why did the world-severing whale not appear this time? It is almost at the bottom of the abyss. I cannot lose this chance. Full speed ahead. The boat nearly reached the bottom, but the whale was right on its tail. Why did it suddenly find me now? Li Fan understood. So that is it. The whale cannot see, or rather, it ignores, objects moving at a normal speed. As long as one maintains a steady pace, one can safely pass through the barrier. The final key to leaving this land has been solved by me. Li Fan laughed and shot out from the whale's mouth. Amidst his mad laughter and the whale's roar, the vessel broke through the rift between worlds, heading straight for the cultivation world. Everything around became a blur. It felt like in 1 month, he crossed the distance of several worlds. Under immense pressure, his eyes and nose bled, but he did not care. Looking back at the barrier he came from, his perspective was pulled infinitely high. But at that moment, Li Fan saw an unforgettable sight. The world-severing whale was lunging with its mouth open. This time there was not just one, but hundreds of thousands. Tens of millions of whales were swarming there, opening dark patches of space in the void. The land Li Fan came from was drifting further and further away. From the cultivation world, Li Fan shot out from the bottom of the abyss, looking at the peaks filled with spiritual energy. He was moved. Is this the cultivation world? To see the cultivation world once before death, this life was not lived in vain. Truth Seeker, the system announced the end of the simulation. 9 reincarnations, 500 long years. Finally, Li Fan touched the threshold of cultivation. As planned before, he wanted to choose to accelerate the recharge. But after seeing the list of selectable items, he hesitated. Please select an item to retain. Because he saw the broken steely. After some thought, Li Fan decided to keep the steely. Retain damaged broken steely. He took this chance to verify his theory. Li Fan's 10th life began. Since he did not choose to accelerate the recharge, he needed to wait 20 years to complete it. Anchor Year 3, Li Fan arrived at Xian Hong's tomb. He did not use the barrier to break in, but directly took the broken steely out from the Truth Seeker. The steely brought from his previous life, once it appeared in this world, underwent a marvelous transformation. Like a stone under intense sunlight, it slowly vanished, and the array generated by the steely inside Xian Hong's tomb became much stronger. Li Fan thought, it is as I suspected. Rare items are unique. 2 identical rare items cannot exist in the world. By using the Truth Seeker's power to create an exact duplicate, the result was the 2 items merging into one. Ultimately, they returned to one source. After that, he ordered his subordinates to use the sprayer to break the tomb. It took some effort to slowly reduce its power. Inside Xian Hong's tomb, the appearance of the steely had not changed much, only looking slightly more worn. Li Fan noticed the Truth Seeker still could not absorb it. It seems this stone tablet must be further repaired before the Truth Seeker can continue absorbing it. Then he took the broken steely. This enhanced version of the burial steely was stored inside the Great Divination Bead, regarded as a future asset to bring to the cultivation world. Anchor Year 20. The Truth Seeker was about to finish its recharge. Li Fan investigated and executed a group of corrupt officials and tyrannical landlords. Their families had accumulated for generations into his own pockets. This was because after reaching the cultivation world, he would still have to deal with mortals. Gold, silver, and wealth naturally had to be prepared in advance. Besides money, food was also indispensable. But food was the foundation of the nation, and Li Fan was demanding far too much at once. All the officials submitted petitions and protests. He was not afraid. In front of the entire civil and military assembly, he enlarged the Great Divination Bead to its maximum hovering size, it over the imperial palace. Upon seeing this, the citizens all knelt and kowtowed. The officials in the court, witnessing such immortal-like methods, all changed their attitudes, proactively and eagerly helping Li Fan prepare the grain. With the active help of the officials and the execution of a group of dishonest merchants, the Great Divination Bead was finally filled. Everything was prepared. Li Fan no longer had any lingering regrets for the mortal world. Steering the vessel, he once again arrived above the abyss. Relaxing his mind, he let the vessel engage in automatic pilot. At a constant speed, it only took a few hours. But in his eyes, it felt longer than the hundreds of years he had experienced before. The tearing sensation of crossing between realms was something Li Fan gradually adapted to this time. After a long wait, Li Fan finally crossed the immortal Forbidden's barrier and reached the cultivation world. But when he saw the surrounding scenery clearly, he froze in shock. At the very least, I am the son of the king of Jenin. Why was the exit point different this time? The map Guan Hong drew did not show this ocean location. Never mind. He could only take it one step at a time. He wondered if he could find people before the spirit stones ran out. He chose a direction. Li Fan steered the vessel, flying while searching for any signs of cities nearby. The ocean was truly vast and boundless. He flew for 7 days and 7 nights without seeing a single soul. Another dozen days passed like this. The vessel's speed became slower and slower. Clearly, its power was almost exhausted. At his wit's end, finally, on the distant sea surface, the silhouette of a ship appeared. When Li Fan used his telescope to look at that ship, he was speechless. It was a ship indeed, but one that was about to sink. It seemed to have suffered an attack. The hull had a massive hole, and 2/3 of it was submerged. In the waters surrounding the ship, dozens of people were struggling, obviously the passengers from the vessel. One person tried to reassure them. Don't be afraid. I have signaled the Immortal Master. Very soon, he will come to rescue us. Everyone, hold on for a bit longer. Hearing this, Li Fan was startled. Immortal Master. His heart raced. Storing the vessel, he jumped into the sea and swam toward those people, secretly blending into the crowd. Li Fan also pretended to be exhausted, struggling and pleading. Immortal Master, save me. A cold voice echoed from the sky. A figure appeared. Judging by the voice, it was a man. He cast some sort of spell. His appearance and clothing looked as if they were behind a thin veil, blurred and unclear. The moment he appeared, the surroundings suddenly fell silent. He also discovered that he could no longer make a sound. The Immortal Master pointed his fingers toward them. That ship gradually rose up, to the astonishment of the crowd. With a casual gesture from that master, he salvaged the ship that was mostly underwater, and the large hole in the hull was instantly repaired. The Immortal Master waved his hand, throwing the whole group back onto the ship. The man asked gloomily, "Who signaled me?" The other man bowed and identified himself. "This lowly one is T.U. Chongyu." The master replied, "You know the rules, right? Once we arrive, I have nothing more to do with you. I have never met you, nor do I know who you are. Is that clear?" Chongyu bowed his head. Yes, this lowly one understands. The Immortal Master helped them one last time, releasing immortal power to push the ship forward. Under some unknown spell cast by the Master, the ship moved rapidly in a certain direction. The Immortal Master stood at the bow, saying nothing. The group on the ship once again fell into a weird silence. Half a day passed like this until after nightfall. Finally, a faint shimmering light appeared. In the distance, it was a fairly prosperous-looking island. Over 100 large ships were anchored at the harbor. Truly magnificent. The ship Li Fan was on did not head toward the harbor, but circumnavigated half the island to a secluded spot at the back. The ship finally stopped. Once the ship was securely docked, the men in black seemed not to see the Immortal Master at all, only ushering the people off the ship and leading them to a large hall. A man in black instructed, "You will rest here tonight. Plenty of food has been prepared in the hall. You can help yourselves. Tomorrow, someone will guide you to update your identities." After giving the orders, the men in black turned and left. Someone started chatting. Truly bad luck to have encountered a sea monster attack. Over 100 people set out, and now less than half have survived. To people nearby complained, "I don't know what my father was thinking, insisting on sending me to this big world to cultivate. Why cultivate? It's not as fun as listening to music. Is there any luxury I couldn't enjoy? What's so good about this hell hole?" T.U. Chongyu spoke up. "What's the use of saying these things now? Whose family didn't pay an enormous price to send all of you here? Instead of complaining, you'd better practice with patience. If you can truly become an immortal master, you will not only have hope for immortality, but also the chance to return home and bring your family members out." Li Fan thought to himself, "These people are likely like me, mortals exiled to the immortal Forbidden Land. Except it seems that even though they were in that land, the existence of the cultivation world was apparently not a secret. Furthermore, they have already developed a mature smuggling route. Suddenly, someone patted Li Fan on the shoulder. The person asked directly, "Brother, you look a bit unfamiliar. I wonder what official rank you held in Dali."